Welcome to Essays and IPAs, presented by CDI Studios.
Welcome once again for another episode of Essays and IPAs. I'm joined today again with Kyle Mullin.
Back by popular demand.
Back by popular demand. The people have spoken, all the emails, tweets, shares, pings, IMs, AIM messages.
If tweet's still a thing, people still tweet.
I don't know. I once again am Michael Colonno, the AVP of the Data Center Solutions team, and we're joined today by
Bob McCouch. I'm the Director of Network Architects here at CDI. I run our pre-sales networking solution architecture team.
Yes, and just so you know, it is always Bob's fault.
Always.
Yes. So,
All right.
well, I'm sorry, but everybody knows it's the networking people's problem.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Our job is meantime to innocence, I call it.
So for those that have been following along with a lot of our other episodes, we like to cover a couple different topics, about you before we get into other technical or leadership or beer or whatever, however we go. So the question I always ask everybody is just like there's a particular alcohol that you don't like, and there's usually a story around it.
Yeah.
Tequila. Okay. Is there a story that you want to share?
Well, it was my wedding shower, and it just didn't.
Were you arrested? Yes or no?
No, but that was more luck than intention.
Good answer. Okay. Was your reason for becoming an SA? Was you get arrested? No, I'm just kidding. But tell us, was there a line in the sand? Was there an event? Was there, essays you were working with that you were sick of them making mistakes? What was it?
No, it was actually kind of a natural progression. Before joining the CDI family, I worked for a very, very small consulting company, and so it was a blend role like any other field engineer, right? So I was doing field architecture and engineering work as well as pre-sales when necessary. And so I kind of did my toes in that a little bit, which had its pros and cons. But after I came over to High Availability, which of course became acquired by CDI and made us part of the one CDI family, I was still in that blend role for a little bit. But it's hard to do sales calls while you're in the middle of doing data center.
You're like in a colo trying to listen to a scoping call.
Exactly.
Like, what did you say again?
Yeah. So it's difficult for, it's hard for customers. It's hard for accountants. It's hard for us. So it was funny. I actually went to the CEO of that company and said, hey, at some point we're going to need to break up pre-sales and post-sales. And when that happens, I would just like an opportunity to be considered for the pre-sales role, because I was kind of tired of seeing the inside of data centers 2 a.m. And
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And he said, hey, that's great. January 1st, you're our first pre-sales engineer. Said, oh, okay. There we are. So that was probably the easiest job interview I've ever had, actually.
Great.
Yeah. And that was probably 8 years ago at this point. So
I'm going to ask you, I think it's not a controversial question, but it's a question that I think every partner is kind of faced with. And it's in terms of, because you said how you kind of moved into being an SA. It's not necessarily a promotion, right? It's a change, right? And like one of the problems that I think all of us always have, and every partner I ever worked for has the same problem, is we move up the people that are doing the best, right? So if you were the best billing or utilized, field consultant,
You automatically assume that's going to translate. Doesn't always.
You think that person is like going to be a great leader and be able to copy and paste themselves, right? And the same thing even with the SA team. We figure, okay, well, this person likes to share some information, and so they obviously like to lead. What do you think? What do you think about that? What do you think is like a better way? Like, what should companies be doing?
to me, I think bridging the gap between engineering and sales is all about the personality, ability to communicate with people clearly and succinctly, the ability to explain technical concepts to a variety of audiences, right? Because as you know, sometimes we're talking to a first-line technical person, and sometimes we're talking to a C-level executive at a company and trying to help them understand why they should or shouldn't do something.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So that ability to communicate is paramount, and I think that some of that just comes down to personality and just ability to sort of have that personable attitude, and that's not always necessarily like an ingrained thing. I'm actually, quite an introvert in my like personal life.
Hey,
I'm like what they like to call like an extroverted introvert, right? Like I can turn it on.
we talk about it almost every episode because we are an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly.
So along those lines, what do you think makes there's the different levels, at least at CDI there's in terms of like you're an SA, you're a senior SA, or maybe you're an enterprise SA, you're a principal SA. What do you think, like, the most popular one is a senior? Like, what makes a senior SA versus, and I want both of your answers on this, so you can't just sit there. What does that look like? What, like, if you had definable attributes, like I'm the HR person, I said, tell me what these bullets are for you to promote somebody to a senior SA.
For me, it's independent thinking and like judgment, right? It's the difference between somebody saying, hey, I want to buy some product, some Cisco switches or, UCS servers or Dell storage, whatever it is. And that person goes, okay, let me just spec that out. Versus someone who's able to say, well, what's the use case here? Why are we doing that? In your, for your use case, in my experience, it might be better to look at something different. So it's that like consultative approach, that outcome orientation. I think that's what makes somebody really, that senior, right? That they're more of a consultant in terms of addressing the customer's
less
needs.
transactional.
I like that.
Less transactional,
and
more
somebody
strategic,
that
right?
you would
They're
feel
thinking,
comfortable.
they're thinking ahead and saying, well, maybe you want to do this in a couple phases because if we do this, we get some benefit, some value, right? And then next year we can add on to that. We can add on to that. So it's more strategic thinking ahead.
Mr. V.
No, I think that Bob summarized it pretty
Glad the boss agrees with me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
KPIs.
you guys. No, you're spot on. Critical thinker, thinking outside the box, more of a consultative approach, right? Someone that you as an account manager or customer would even consider this individual a trusted advisor of theirs, right? Yeah. Versus, to your point, somebody that's maybe newer to the role, coming into that role would be more of a transactional. Hey, I need XYZ switch in your world, right? And then they could, turn that around rather quickly. What I think is unique about you, Bob, and your team is, I think we'd be kidding ourselves to say that, network individuals, and I mean this by no disrespect, they're wired a little bit differently, right? They're not, I don't want to say they're
DBAs.
No, but you're right. Developers, we all,
Sitting right here.
appropriately or inappropriately lump them in. But I think we can all agree, but it's very, and the reason I feel that you're so good in the position that you're in is because you do exude that confidence and take that consultative approach with customers. And you can actually articulate what you're trying to get across versus just getting into the speed and feeds of.
But I think that's the key that makes a really good solutions architect. Right? Is that is somebody who can translate. I mean, by no means am I the most talented, skilled, or knowledgeable network architect at CDI.
Look at the hat you got on. I mean, dude, it's confidence.
I'm saying one of the most confident. But being able to translate that, right, and just go from, we get so many megabits per second and terabits of backplane and how many non-blocking fabrics and all that into, a business-oriented outcome for a customer or something that helps address their actual problems they're trying to solve, I think is
So the other thing that I also like in there is the starting of contribution to the team is like not like, full development of materials and things like that. That's, that starts to get into a little bit higher past that maybe. But the starting of contributions, updating documents. So, we for those that have not worked on the partner side, we try to do our best to templatize a lot of things, right? We try to make things that are repeatable, actually repeatable. And yeah, exactly. And like, there's a lot of uplift that happens in the background, and that's important to be able to do that. Or, sending out, we have different channels and teams around like blogs and useful information, right? Starting to contribute with that, commenting on we do a lot of trainings and things like that, like actually making comments, actually asking questions, contributing, just contributing on the day-to-day, right?
Vocal, being visible.
I think that's another, big thing. We've talked about brand on the show before, and, kind of like it's your perception of how people see you, and the more visible you are, the better chance, hopefully, is that actual brand of you, that perception of you, that people want to engage you. And, if that's the case mixed with the consultative approach, that's a senior or SA.
Is that why you're wearing that shirt?
It's super visible.
It's because I want to be dominant. I don't
happened. He's very confident.
I don't have a hat.
I'm not confident.
I don't have a hat. I might have a fedora.
I'm trying to hide in this camouflage.
I
You
know.
guys are going
You
on.
got too much hair to hide it under a hat.
So I would be probably punched by Kyle if I didn't bring it back to something personal.
Oh.
Everybody, I think, at CDI knows that you basically run an arcade at your house.
Yeah, we got to
It may or may not be for profit. I don't know. It might be $1. There might be a card
This
like
goes
a
back
David
to
and
when I said
Buster's. I
network
don't
people
know.
are wired differently. Why don't you get into your hobbies at home?
Exactly. So why don't we go into your restorative process?
Yeah, that I kind of stumbled into that a couple of years ago. I did what actually, I mean, there's a lot of like, IT geeks that, build like the one arcade machine.
Yeah, the Raspberry Pi.
The Raspberry Pi, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so I did that. And I goofed around with that for a little bit. And I was like, oh, this is really neat to have my own arcade machine. Neat. And then, I came across somebody on Facebook who was selling like the sit down, like Cruising USA, like race car driver. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he didn't live very far away. And I was like, I think I have to scoop that up. Yeah, and I did, and that was a bad mistake because now I'm just constantly collecting and fixing them.
Yeah.
So I have 10
full
size vintage machines. I've actually gotten rid of the old the Raspberry Pi Wonder Rule of all. I gave it a Rob. I actually. I've refitted.
And you rolled him on that, right? It's like, how did you charge your...
It was like 20 grand. Something like that.
Good.
Yes. But he's not here. It doesn't matter.
That's right. Yeah. Hi, Rob. No, so I spent the last almost 5 years at this point, collecting, and it's one of those things that I think there's more therapeutic value in the restoration process, right? I spend a lot of time going through the machines and addressing the 40 years worth of electrical stuff and parts breaking down and material. Yeah.
Do you do pinball machines also?
I do not do pinball.
Okay.
machines.
I was just curious. Well, why?
They are a huge amount.
I know they are, and that's why I was asking, because I had a friend that did used to do pinball machines, and he just said it was just some
They're
thing.
super
Because
cool, but they're just
it's not just the electrical; it's mechanical
stuff.
It's
solenoids and electromagnets and springs and
exactly.
solar bumpers and
So, of the things that you've restored, what style of mechanisms, console, is like the most fun or the most like challenging to actually work with?
Well, it's interesting as you look at like the years of like, so I have everything from like a Centipede machine from like 1980, 1981 up through the mid 90s, like Ninja Turtles, 4-player. I have that. Yeah,
Exactly what it popped in my head.
And they're all different, but it's actually interesting to see how the industry evolved. Right. So those early boards, they actually, like those early games, like an early 80s Atari kind of cabinet, they built those with the expectation that they would live forever, that they would be used forever. Like the boards are laid out
Like
immaculately.
Like hot swap, like you put...
Well, the components are swappable. No, I mean, that actually came later with a standard, but the components, like there are discrete logic circuits and chips and that you can test. There are logic test points on the board. The manuals had full schematics, and they would tell you exactly what you would So you could actually repair one of those boards, right? You get later on, and I think my latest machine's like a Golden Tee, right? So I have a Golden Tee. That's literally a computer. It's literally like a 486 computer.
Yeah.
With like a regular like PC power supply and all that. So at that point, if that goes bad, all you can do is try to replace the hard drive, and short of that, hope and pray, right? So it's neat to see the way they evolve in both directions, right? From being these like very, bespoke, immaculately designed and built devices, but they seem to think that they were going to be out there on location in one place forever. And by the mid to late 90s, it became clear that the average lifetime that an arcade cabinet would sit on the floor somewhere was months, right? So they kind of built them that way. They stopped being high-grade plywood and started being
everything else in the world,
chipboard, right? That stuff like that.
Replace it.
Yeah. Well,
designed to fail after the warranty.
Yeah, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting, like observing all that stuff. The other thing is I like opening up these old machines and finding like the original QA routing ticket, like from when somebody at Atari in 1979, like checked this one off and said, oh yeah, this, like that one works and everything. And you find some guy's initials or some gal's initials on there that they signed off. And it's just cool to find those little things. I found tokens from various arcades.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Have you ever found? And
you clean them all out, and there's all kinds of horrible things in there. But sometimes you're like, I don't even know where this place was. Right, so
to play it, you have like a coin on a thread, and you're like,
yeah. No, I actually have a change machine.
do you really?
I do, yeah. So I run everything on coin because you got to have that experience of
actually putting.
Yeah,
Time running out, you
the
gotta
continued
sprint.
countdown, and you're like, oh, I'm out. And you got to run back out the machine and try to
One of your kids has to put a quarter like on top to say that they're next.
Absolutely, we totally do that. That's
Your wife's downstairs saying, I don't have any more dollars.
Yeah, she's got to rush. Yeah, the change thing.
Game over.
I might be keeping my eye out for the little the belt.
Yes.
Please. You will be back on an episode if that happens. I mean, I'm
I'm
not
going to wear it.
Yes, exactly. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's definitely pretty cool because I mean, and
It's unique.
yeah, it's very unique. And like I've kind of one of the things I said is how all of us are an X nerd. You know, we all might not be the
I
traditional.
appreciate that you think I'm an ex-nerd.
Well, exactly.
I don't.
Like an X-Man, but
Oh.
no, I'm just kidding. I just mean in terms of like we all have something we're nerdish about, something that we're a little bit past normal obsessed with.
Right.
Which
I was fashion.
like mine is bad.
Yes, Bob. Yes. I love it. That's what I was waiting for.
Very
Really? That's why you're in the position you're in, because you can bury this guy.
Exactly. I will. You know what? I appreciate a good dig because of the next one. Yeah. So.
By the way, should we?
Yeah. Let's take a
Bob
pause
brought
here and
these.
talk about this beer, and it is fantastic. Why don't you tell us what it is?
This is Tickle Parts from Levante Brewing Company in Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Delish.
It is.
Kind of a local gem that everybody in the area knows about down where I live.
Nice IPA.
Yeah. It's good. Chewy. It's Mosaic and Citra, so it's a good.
Clean finish.
Yeah.
Clean.
Well balanced.
It's very
7%, so
It's not too bitter.
party going.
It's your
Yeah.
rock.
I know it is. It's a little strong. I mean, I'm definitely.
Better than the sour trash you brought the other time I was.
So what would we give it? So if out of 5, what would we give? Let's do out of 5. No, you want to do out of 10? Out of 10.
Out of 10. I think 10's a better
Out of 10. Out of 10. Out of 10.
Damn, I like this a lot, honestly. I just like an 8.7.
Okay.
You 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, 8.5 I'll go. Yeah, it is a very solid beer. I mean, this is definitely something that you could just drink,
Yeah.
not have a problem with it. I could drink more.
Well, it's only the fourth one. And then
Well, I'm saying I could drink. For me, certain IPAs, I think of if I could just drink more than one in a row.
right.
Because like a lot of IPAs, like I like to vary it a little bit, like almost like a flight, but within like a pint glass kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like this, I could definitely drink more than one. A flight of pints. Well, that's when you know we are doing it right, Bob.
Yeah, that's true.
So I have
Call
to
that Tuesday in the Colonno house.
exactly. Well, it's Taco Tuesday. IPAs don't go with tacos; it goes with your tequila. You don't drink anymore, obviously. So I have to give you a compliment, but also ask you a question. So recently you wrote an email to the team about kind of being prepared and being present.
Oh, yeah.
And I was very impressed by the email. I know, I talked to you about it, and I said how I wish I could be as prepared and present as I'd like to be on a lot of calls because of the amount of traveling I do, how often I'm in the car, things like that, right? It's not multitasking. I literally, it's funny, I got a message from, Viva or whatever for Microsoft, and it said how I think it was 71% of my meetings I haven't multitasked, and I was proud of myself.
Good number.
How does it know that?
Because click over from Teams, from clicking on something else, other material. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Before we get into it, why don't you summarize what the email was?
No, he will do that.
Oh,
He's here.
sorry. I
Half the
had a half a beer.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that email, and we'll discuss it.
Yeah. The intention of the email was to remind my team about the importance of professionalism, but that professionalism in itself, in our roles, has a couple of components, right? And one of those is being prepared for a customer conversation, right? Not proverbially sitting there shuffling your papers looking for what you're going to talk about, right? And just being present of mind, right? Not multitasking, not clearly doing something else.
Being in a car.
Not trying to walk down Fifth Avenue while you're trying to describe to somebody why they should overhaul their data center.
Like Rob on one of our last leadership calls.
Like a lot of people. But yeah.
Yeah.
And that's primarily why I loved the email, and I sent it out to the whole team.
That's great. Well, that's why I appreciated that you did. So it was very good.
Yeah. And just punctuality, right? You know, just be on time. And a lot of that to me is about respecting the customer, right?
I agree.
Because there's lots of companies that any customer end user can, give some time to work with, right? And they all need to feel appreciated, I think. And part of that is just being professional and being courteous, and that involves not showing up 7 minutes late to a call and then being like, what are we talking about again? What order was that? And it's one of those things, right? It's a lot of little, there's a lot of little elements that can add up to kind of knock you off your game there, right? Yeah. And none of us are perfect, right? I mean, I sinned on that one the other day. I got on a call and I was like, which quote are we talking about here? Yeah. But you got to acknowledge that nobody's perfect, right? And so we're all trying to improve together, right? Yeah. But
it's always good to be reminded of something. Yeah, just the basics.
Right? Yeah.
It's easy to take that stuff for granted. And they go, well, I'm so busy. Yeah, I don't have any time. I got to just get more calls and what. And
it's not an excuse at the end of the day. And that was very refreshing to read. So
and I think it's one of those things that even if you can't always do it, it's good to remind. It's a reminder, right? It's important to understand that you should be prepared as if you were physically in person with that customer or with that internal meeting or whatever it is, right?
That's why I try to push like video presence too, right? Like, people don't always love being on camera, but it's a lot harder to be, doing your taxes on the side or whatever, or buying your tickets for the big game when you're on camera with somebody. It keeps you engaged.
So let me actually take that and pivot to the new business casual. So if like you this, so this is what this is. Well, so let me ask you. So if I'm in front of a customer, this is probably my new business casual.
That's very distracting.
Jeans and I'm not saying it's the shirt. I'm not looking for phone numbers. I'm looking for PO. No, but on camera, what does prepared and present and all those things look like on camera at home these days? Because I have customers that are, basically in a dirty T-shirt. So is it just a non-logoed tee? Is it a polo shirt? Is it have a CDI? Like, and this is for us, but right. I'm asking for us, but it's also for once again, it's blanketed for people that are working for customers or whatever else, and in their positions. Like, what does that look like? Should I have a logo, something like
for the most part
polo ready?
I think in the general sense, right, it's about not being distracting, right? Like to not like to your point, right? If you're gonna have a shirt with a big logo on it, or a political slogan or whatever it might be, like that's distracting from that's what people are gonna focus on. Right?
Okay.
So I think that's like sort of an overall general importance, right? But I have no problem talking to somebody who's wearing a hoodie and, or whatever the case may be. Awesome. However, I always try to tune my appearance to the customer because, again, I want to be respectful of them, right? So if I'm on with a C-level, yes, I've certainly taken a fair share of calls looking like this on top with gym shorts on bottom.
Of course.
Definitely.
Well, I mean,
right. But I'm talking to another technical person or just Nike manager.
Pajamas.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna try to look. I'm neat, tidy, but not.
I fully take advantage of that. My office is a spare bedroom, and definitely to that point, I have polos that I'll just throw on over a t-shirt.
Everybody keeps emergency polo
or a CDI like zip up to just throw on or something like that for sure.
I think if there's any positives that came of the last 2 years, obviously it was a horrible time overall in general for everybody, but it allowed us to relax a little bit more in that regard, right? So
focus on what we're trying to get done.
Okay, your dog comes in, you can pet the dog if you want to.
It's like, oh, the dog's barking, right? So everybody we get all freaked out, but now you hear a dog, dog's barking, right? So and it allows us to be more relaxed, and it's more personal.
It is,
right? And people can be themselves.
Their kid runs in or whatever, and like it's like the first time they have, they're mortified, but like then they realize that everybody on camera is like waving to their kid.
And and the thing is, at the end of the day, it ends up becoming a relationship builder with whomever you're on the phone.
We're all humans, so we're gonna do things like have children or significant others or pets. We're gonna wear, we don't all wear ties and jackets at home. So
I fancy hats.
Or fancy. Well, I wear hats a lot.
It's changed for the better in my I think so, right?
I think so too, and I think the same thing goes for a lot of on-premises meetings as well. It's nice that
Being on premises and not on premise.
yes. Well, I make a point of that thing.
Say on premise.
Just say on-prem. Just say on-prem. Right. It's on-prem or on-premises. Okay. That's it. Thanks. Same thing goes when you're writing blogs. Just if you write a blog for us, make sure it's on-premises.
There you go.
Otherwise, actually, you know what? I want to take a quick pause. I want to thank our marketing team that helps us with these episodes, with posting things on LinkedIn, with all those different, social, media, as well. They do a fantastic job. Sure. Letting me wear this shirt. I mean, they literally high-fived me when I walked in today and said, fantastic choice. And Kyle walked in and he just shook his head. In disgust. I mean, he may or may not.
It looks good. It's actually very form-fitting. I thought it was made to measure.
He did say that to me. And it is off the rack.
Are your initials embroidered on the cuff?
No, I'm not a salesperson.
Your chest looks very large. What are you benching nowadays?
Well, I did do some push-ups earlier before I came on camera. Just to get a little
rep on. What do we roll? Come on, let's be honest. I don't even want to tell him anyway.
I don't know right now.
You don't know what you bench.
I don't know right now. What
Spencer? What do you bench?
What I can easily
Spencer, what are you benching, bro?
185.
All right, he's getting 185 and he's 6'6".
Okay,
you can beat 185.
I can.
Yeah,
I can. I could right now. I could probably hit 3. Okay.
3 for 185?
What? No. Oh, 3 for 185.
Easily. That's your warm up.
I could do right now. I could probably do like 20 at 185.
Oh, thank God. Okay, we're good.
No, I'm saying I probably do 300 for one, probably.
Oh, that's impressive.
We've been at this for 26 minutes now, and he hasn't mentioned that he does CrossFit.
Well,
he's off that.
No, I still do CrossFit every once in a while. It works out pretty well for me.
We're getting the hedge.
Are we getting the hook here?
Yeah.
So Bob, I really it's okay. It's sometimes the fun has to end.
You own this thing.
I do.
So
I do.
Go as long as you.
We'll go doing it live.
We're doing it live.
Doing it live.
That's right.
But yeah, Bob, I really appreciate you coming on. The thing that I want to do is just to let the audience know as well. I do want to start varying our our guests. Different divisions within CDI, male, female, even opening it to networking people.
We should start getting some partners on.
Well, that's what I'm going to start doing as well. And I would definitely like, once again, this is one of those things open to everybody out there is, essays and IPAs at CDI.com. Please write us if you're interested in being on, if you're on with our vendor partners or, you're in a similar position. We definitely appreciate that, as well as suggestions of what you'd like to hear. Obviously we try to keep it light. We try to keep, some of the stuff we want to maybe add some technical pieces, let us know. But thank you once again for watching, and
smash that like button.
Exactly. Smash the
exactly's on premises and exactly.
Exactly's. But thank you once again. Cheers,
guys.
Fun.
Essays and IPAs is a production of CDI Studios and is produced by Alyssa Hall and Spencer Grogan. To learn more about CDI, you can visit cdillc.com.